Hello and welcome to Tips and Tricks. I'm Debbie Nelson with Together SC, and I'm delighted to see all of you today. I am also delighted to introduce you to a brand new member of our consultant collaborative. She may not be brand new to you, but she's brand new to our consultant collaborative. Welcome, Ginny Waller.
Thank you so much for having me, Debbie. I appreciate it.
So, Ginny, you have founded a firm, Waller Consulting, and I'd love to tell our audience a little bit about the work that you do. Can you share some of the things that you do at Waller Consulting?
Sure. So as a former nonprofit executive director, really was interested in getting into the consulting space to be able to help not just one organization, but many. And I really focus on change management. So leadership transitions, providing interim support, but also helping organizations in their searches and then facilitating the onboarding of the new executive directors. And also provide board governance trainings as well as strategic planning.
And I also know you do some coaching, right?
I do. Thank you. I was actually thinking that as soon as I said it. Yes, I do coaching with executive directors. I really have a lot of fun with helping executive directors, especially when they are new, and really helping them understand they're not alone, because that was the hardest part for me when I transitioned into the sector, feeling very isolated and had no clue what I was going to be doing. Just want to be that support for other executive directors.
So this question is very relevant right now. I can't believe I open my email every day and I see many nonprofit executive directors retiring. You know, there's a big transition going on. We knew it was coming, it is here, COVID, and just, you know, the very nature of the tough work that we all do. So there are a lot of folks that are transitioning into being new executive directors, possibly even first-time executive directors. So from your position and your consulting practice, could you please offer some advice for new executive directors?
Sure. Yes. I mean, we are seeing that great resignation that it has become termed, especially at the executive level, happening very, very quickly. And that is bringing an influx, as you said, of individuals who may be coming from other sectors and are not as familiar with nonprofits, but also individuals who are seeking better nonprofit executive director positions. So I kind of narrow it down to about four really main focuses for executive directors when they walk through that office in the first day. I mean, the first is that if they are not from the nonprofit sector, and even if they are, I highly recommend that they get a very strong handle on the difference between the nonprofit sector and the for-profit sector, as well as the similarities, right? Because there's some inclination in our field to believe that we are charities and we're not to make money, and that's not true. And so we want to kibosh that or squash that charity mentality, but we also want them to understand the structures of the organization and what that means and how they should operate, board governance, et cetera. So getting training on that, becoming really familiar with that. The second is to establish really, really strong relationships with their board. So whether that's obviously the board chair being the first priority, because that is their closest relationship and someone that they should be touching base with at least every few weeks, and definitely in a formal supervisory setting, who will be evaluating them annually. But then in addition to that, really understanding their board skills and characteristics, their qualities, and getting those relationships tight early on will make a huge difference in how they feel supported. And it will really prevent there being any undermining of trust at any point later on, right? They have established strong relationship and believe in each other. There also should be a real focus on the developing relationships outside of that, understanding who your trusted advisors are in the community, meeting as many stakeholders as possible, and then identifying, narrowing down those that are going to be kind of the people that have their backs, the very ones who are going to be the one you can call and say, hey, I have no idea what I'm walking into here in this partnership. Can you talk to me about it? So both the historical support, but also the community support that they may need if something ever arises, or they want a new program, or they need money to support that. We also, my fourth one is that you really want to learn your organization. I know that sounds common sense, but On the other hand, if I can't tell you the number of executive directors who I say, well, tell me about your budget. They're like, well, it's X amount of money. Okay, well, tell me, where does your funding come from? What are the line items? How are you spending it? And they really don't have a really good handle on that. That should be just second nature, along with programs and who's doing the work out in the field, other competitors, partners. So getting to know your organization at a very intimate level. The other stakeholder I forgot, and I would be very remiss to forget, is your staff, and getting to know them intimately, and establishing that trust with them, because as we know, the work couldn't get done without them. We're just, as I say, we usually are just moving the parts. We are not the ones that are actually doing the work necessarily.
So those are great tips. And it sounds to me like you've got to invest some time in the upfront when you get started in an organization. Like, is there any sort of guidelines of how long this process might take?
I believe that it took me about 2 years before I felt really confident in walking into a room and not getting hit with a surprise, whether it was a surprise partner or, hey, did you know this history, or you guys screwed up, or whatever it might be. It took about 2 years, but at the 1 year level, I felt very confident that I had an investment of my board and my staff, that I was performing at the level, the expectations that they had set for me, and I was setting those for my team as well. So probably about the year mark should do it. And I think that's really important, Debbie, right? Pace yourself, because taking a deep breath and just really assessing where the organization is going to give you a much better perspective. Like I tell my executive directors, what is going to change in the next 3 months that hasn't happened in the last 30 years? So just simmer, take a deep breath. This is going to work itself out. And if you establish a strong foundation up front, you're going to succeed. Whereas if you speed through it and just start focusing on the work and reacting to events, that's where you're going to find yourself in a really hard place come a few years down the line.
Well, I love that idea of taking a deep breath, because again, temptation is to come in and create change and do things really rapidly, where you should be pausing a little and really doing the steps that you've offered. So this is really helpful. The other thing I would say is that Together SC is here for new EDs. We have a program called our Carolina Leadership Seminars, and that program, that cohort program, is designed for you to be with others going through these challenges that Ginny has described. Obviously, one-on-one coaching and work that you could do with a consultant like Ginny is really important, but having a cohort can also be beneficial. So please consider that as an option as well. So this is all very helpful. And I really appreciate you sharing some time with us today and sharing that advice for new EDs, because I know this is going to be an ongoing focus for years to come for the nonprofit sector. And
yeah, Debbie, I'm so excited to be able to give. These are like the lessons learned, right? I did the thing. I have hindsight, and it's 2020, and I can tell you what I would have done differently, and what I would have done maybe even better had I known what I know now. So I appreciate you having me on to give me an opportunity to share.
Yes, well, it's been fantastic seeing you again, and look forward to having you more engaged with the Consultant Collaborative going forward, and more engaged with Together SC. So with that, I bid you farewell and say thank you to all of you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next Tips and Tricks. Bye-bye.